So let's look at how we actually use CSS in practice. Now we'll have our HTML in an HTML page, and we'll have our CSS in a separate page. And what we need to do is we need to link the two files together. So when the page is displayed in a browser window, both the HTML and the CSS are combined correctly. Now the way that we do that is to add a link into our HTML document. So we're just going to add an extra line in here, and then we can insert our link tag at that point. So there's a special tag in HTML that enables us to provide links. And in this instance, what we're going to do is we're going to link to a separate file. And if you look at the href part on the right hand side, you can see it says style1.css. The actual file we're going to connect this HTML page to is the style file. Now, in these simple examples, always keep the style file and the HTML file in the same folder or the same location. It just makes life easier. So what does the link element do? Well, it defines a relationship between our two documents, between the HTML page and the CSS page. It's an empty element because it doesn't have a distinct closing tag. And link is actually used for a variety of different things. So it can appear many times. Obviously here we're just going to be using it to create a link between the HTML page and the CSS page. So the first attribute that we have is rel, and rel indicates the relationship between, if you like, the relationship of the link that we're actually setting up. And there are lots of different values. I'm not going to talk about these here, but the one that we're particularly interested in is style sheet. So we'll say rel equals style sheet. We're going to connect to a style sheet. And then type indicates the nature of the document at the end of the link, and that's a MIME type. Now MIME types were a way for us to describe the types of documents that were actually attached to emails. And they often look like this. There'll be two elements with a / between them. So text / CSS, text / JavaScript, something like that. In this particular instance, we'll be using type equals text / CSS to indicate that it's going to be a CSS file at the end. And then the third and final attribute that we have here is the href, which indicates the name of the file. And here we have style1.css to indicate the name of the file that's going to contain our CSS. It's going to be a CSS file. And again, that's just a text file. So in the same way that HTML files are created in a text editor, but given that HTML extension, CSS files are created in a text editor. They're plain text files, but we give them that .css extension. We don't have to, but it is the tradition. So really, all you have to do is copy that line and just change the third attribute to point to the name of the CSS file. Now, as I've indicated, the best thing to do is to save them in the same location and use that .css as the extension. There's no requirement to do that, but it is the suggested way of doing it.